Oh, hello, YouTube. I didn't see you there. I was too busy drinking my tea and looking at this sweet copy of Spore Frog that I'm going to be playing in today's deck list. Hello, folks. I'm Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU, and today we are going to be playing Legacy Enchantress. This stream is supported by Chris R. Now, Chris wanted to go and see this deck in action, specifically because I had already received a donation for Modern Enchantress, and they wanted to kind of see a compare and contrast between the two. So if you watched my Modern Enchantress video, which should have gone live a few days ago, you'll see some things that look familiar. I got the core of this list from an acquaintance of the stream, from Spatula of the Ages, well-known Enchantress player, and I just made 2 changes to the list because I thought it was pretty good as is. So, notably, we are going to be trying out 3 copies of Sythis Harvest Hand as an additional Enchantress effect, and for the Legacy players out there who maybe haven't seen this one draws life and draws a card. Now, notably, this one doesn't have Shroud, so our Lightning Bolts and friends can remove this card, so there are some downsides associated with it. But in the modern version, this card looked really good. And the big thing that sort of distinguishes the Legacy version from the modern version is the presence of Living Wish. And a lot of the Enchantress versions that use Living Wish end up being called the Witch House. That's kind of their nice pet legacy name. And as you can see, we have, I think it's a 13 card wish board for it, ranging from our Enchantress effects to very specific hate pieces to various win conditions, ranging from Destiny Spinner all the way up to Emrakul. And there's all sorts of other utility built into this wish package. So if I were to kind of talk about some of the other things that really distinguish this Legacy build from the modern build, it's that you have more accelerants at 1. You have Utopia Sprawl and Wild Growth, and I'm also playing a Carpet of Flowers. Now, I changed exactly 2 cards from the deck list that I got from Spatula. Spatula has long been a proponent of a 1-of Mirri Skyle, and I have long been a proponent of Jam Carpet the Flowers in every fucking deck that it can possibly go into, because damn Carpet is good. So I replaced Mirri Skyle with the Carpet of Flowers, and then there was one of the enchantments that gives your enchantment Shroud, and I thought it was really weird as a non-tutorable 1-of, and so I replaced it with Sanctum Weaver, which was really impressive in the modern stream. You can tap it to add X mana of any one color, where I guess is the number of enchantments you control. And I thought that was just a really strong Green Sun target, and in the worst case scenarios, like, this still just draws a card off of all your Enchantress effects, and that's totally legit. Notably right now in this Legacy version, we are also playing on Thin Ice, which isn't always in the Legacy version, but right now there's a lot of Affinity and Blue-Red Delver running around, and you need to be able to answer creatures. So this is our way to do that. Notably right now, we're trying that over other prison pieces that you might see. The modern version had Ghostly Prison, the Legacy version often has either Elephant Grass or more copies of Solitary Confinement, or both. To highlight one other card here that's not commonly played in the Legacy version, that's Conclave Tribunal. It has Convoke, and when it ETBs, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. So it's a slightly different Oblivion Ring effect. One other quick highlight, I guess 2. We have 2 Modern Horizons 2 cards in the Wish board. We have a copy of Endurance, which is one of my new favorite cards, as well as Solitude, the kind of like Path to Exile that you can pitch a white card in order to play. So our Living Wishes have like such this huge range, and generally speaking, I am not a huge fan of Living Wish type cards, but in Enchantress, where you do have so much mana acceleration, I think it's okay here. All right, let's jump into a league and see how it goes. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you're not already subscribed and you want to see sick Legacy content approximately 7 days a week. And for the regulars, please hit the like button. Praise the algorithm gods and whatnot. There comes a time in every man's life when he has to ask himself, how much do you believe that your opponent is on blue? This list does not have Dryad Arbor, so Green Sun is not actually a mana accelerant. If my opponent is on a blue deck, this hand is fantastic, and if they aren't, this hand is below average. I am going to go ahead and mulligan this one on the play. Oh no. This has no Enchantress effects. It has all the mana in the world, but like nowhere to go. I'm mulligan this one too. Okay, how's this one look? This is probably the best hand that I've seen thus far. The first hand is arguably better. I will be keeping this one. The Sanctum Weaver and probably one Abundant Growth are probably the pieces that go back. Alright, Forest, turn into more better land, and pass the turn. I'll have Destiny Spinner on 2, get an Enchantress effect on 3, and then hopefully I have something to do by then. Just a swamp. Alright, go gadget, Destiny Spinner. And an F6, so it's a swamp, and they're not just holding up something like Fatal Push. Combo deck? And a Turok deck? Well, nice. I smell a Pox-esque deck. This is the sort of shit I play on my channel. Usually I'm the one piloting these piles. Good luck, Melody. Fight the good fight. Alright, land. Do one of these. It has resolved. I think we're going to be getting the one that's Shroudy here. Okay. Are you summoning sick? Yeah, newly controlled. You are summoning sick. So I am fine crashing in this turn, but not in future turns. Alright, opponent's at 18. Wasteland not doing a ton currently. Draw an enchantment, huh? Alright, that's an enchantment. Let's target one of my lands, pay with a different land, and we will let the card drawing begin. Alright, and start to stack up on a land now. Let's go Utopia Sprawl here. And draw some cards. I guess this will name white. Although, kind of with the mana that I have now, it's not super relevant exactly what colors I end up picking. Alright, I think that's all we're getting in this turn. Play a Windswept Heath and pass. Destiny Spinner can't attack anymore because Mishra's Factory can turn into a 3/3 and just block. Oh? An opposition agent. Well, I will fetch in response. Green Sun has gotten worse. I have 2 different sources of white already, but there's very little cost to picking this up. Alright, what you got for me? Blast Zone? Oh, Blast Zone's really good. And a great reason to have fetch to plains. Alright, my opponent has taken no actions for their turn. So I expect my 1-drops are getting nuked here. I don't know that there's too much to be done about that. Let's just go ahead and cycle. Well, not cycle. That's a poor word choice. Let's cast the cast out and use it to junk opposition agent. It's non-land permanent. Okay. That's fine. Let's go ahead and just play Bayou and cast Living Wish then. Yes, I will use the ability. Okay, so there's a world where Blast Zone just ticks up to 2 and I'm left with mana. I have 1 Enchantress effect already. So if I'm just left with mana, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. I can just play like a very large creature like a Doomwake Giant. And that's totally legit. Like I can leave myself with an Enchantress, a Doomwake, and answer to most things. Doomwake Giant, unlike these Destiny Spinners, can actually like crash in and get in the red zone. I think I like that. No attacks here. Again, Mishra's Factory is a thing. I don't think I am supposed to attack in and like give my opponent the chance to have that free value in case ticking up Blast Zone isn't a part of their plan. Alright, yep, looks like they're trying to get rid of my Shroudy stuff. In which case it's very likely that they just do it on their turn. Oh, Lily. That is a very strange play to me. Like, I kill that on board very easily with Destiny Spinners. And this like also just allows me to get more value out of my things. I can also just kind of like Enclave Tribunal away the Lily. I could go like 1, 2, 3, 4. Or okay, let's think about this in terms of a Destiny Spinner activation. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn, say this forest into a critter, attack in, get a Mishra's Chump, and then be 1 mana short of Conclave Tribunal? That's a little awkward. Am I supposed to just Conclave Tribunal? Maybe I'm supposed to just like leave that around and deal with it later. Actually, like, what am I in a hurry for? I can just take out this land here. This Planeswalker isn't scary. Alright, yeah. Let's animate a forest. Oh, actually, I'm not short 1 mana, because I was thinking about swinging in with a Destiny Spinner, but I don't have to do that. Oh, right, I forgot these get trampled, too. That's sick. Alright, attack Lily. Alright. I guess the Lily was worth 6 life. That's totally legit. I'll just pass the turn here. Like, I have plenty of gas in hand for later. I just don't want to, like, commit too many resources when this, like, known blast zone is going to take out my 2-drops at some point. I'm just kind of surprised that my opponent didn't blast zone before playing that Planeswalker. But, like, I shouldn't expect them to have experience in the Enchantress matchup. Like, let's be real, it's a very uncommon deck in Legacy. Douthie Voidwalker. That is a 2-drop. I just don't super understand my opponent's play patterns. Do I want to kill this? Kind of. Like, it's totally fine to kill it, but, like, this blast zone. Well, I guess let's start here. Let's crash in with the lands again. I think just hitting for 6 is fine. Get him. Ooh. Okay. That destroys your Douthie Voidwalker, which is why I was really surprised that it was played out. And you'll go to 12. Now I have a couple of removal spells in the bin, a couple of Enchantress effects. I am in a good position. Alright, new land. What else you got? Karn, the Great Creator. Sure, I can just exile that. Karn minuses. Getting a Helm of Obedience. Okay. I mean, that's... Now I kind of have a feel for what my opponent is actually doing with their deck. I'm going to get hit for 2 here, down to 17. There it goes. Okay. And I Sythis. I still have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana available. So, yes. Wild Growth is also mana neutral, so I can do that as well. Make green with this. Target this. Take my life. I'll go ahead and Conclave Tribunal. Actually, I don't... Well, I guess I can pay and leave open a green in case I draw something that I can play. And the turn kind of peters off here. Alright, so my opponent has Douthie Voidwalkers, Leyline's Helms, and presumably a bunch of Ox-ish stuff. I maybe want to be aggressive in closing out this game if I can. I don't want my opponent to just do this. Okay. So I can't remove this at instant speed. So that is indeed going to kill me. It's a little disappointing. I don't think my opponent played that one super well, but that's the advantage of being a combo deck. Okay, I would like to board in 1 Collector Oof, so that I can have access to it off Green Sun Zenith. I'll leave the other one in the board so I can wish for it. And honestly, I probably won't board much here. The Carpet of Flowers goes out in this round. And it's possible that I can make some other small adjustments. I'm not sure that I will. Like Knight of Autumn could come in over something else. Gives me Shroud. Gives me Shroud, which is good against Leyline Helm. Yeah, I mean, this seems fine. All right, I am on the play. I have a Collector Oof in hand. I have multiple Enchantress effects. I will be keeping this hand. A little shaky that my second land is a non-basic. But I get one redraw from Abundant Growth, and then, like, these Enchantress effects should keep me hitting land drops, assuming I can get them into play. Another nice thing about this hand is that if my opponent has discard, like, Thoughtseize or Inquisition, I have the ability to, like, have 2 good turn 2 plays. Okay, my opponent fought for, like, literally 5 minutes there. And then finally kept their hand. I don't know what on earth was going on. Utopia Sprawl is a fine draw. It makes my turn 2 a little bit better one way or another. Swamp. We're gonna see discard. Dark Ritual. Sure. Rotting Regisaur. Alright. What is my game plan? Just put Enchantress into play. Keep Utopia Sprawl in hand. Or do I need that mana in play to go ham next turn? I think I just want the highest number of draws possible next turn, which probably means keeping my 1-drop. Now my opponent does have to discard a card to Rotting Regisaur here. Alright, they have discarded a Smallpox. Wasteland is very good against me here. We knew that going into the game, though. And I'll take 7. That stings, but hopefully I kind of draw some lands and everything's fine. I already have access to white. Alright. Go ahead and fetch here. The fetching doesn't really make a difference in terms of my life total currently. I do think I stack up on this land, though, because I might want white this turn still, and I want to name green with this, I believe. Alright, so I've made my land drop. I have 2 mana. I think this is just Destiny Spinner for a card. Sythis not a great draw here. We're looking for, like, On Thin Ice and friends. Alright, discarding a Karn. Swamp from the opponent. There's a world where I just want to chump block with Destiny Spinner here. Like, that's 7 life. The Destiny Spinner activation isn't happening anytime soon. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. Like, this chump block just represents 1 more card that my opponent discards. It just makes me worse against a Sudden Edict. Yep, okay. A Prismatic Vista. Sure. This turn isn't the best. I'm trying to think about, like, what land I want to fetch. Probably access to another white is not a bad thing. Alright, so let's go Sythis, and then play Collector Oof. I'm not sure if I block this turn. Feels like blocking is fine. Not great, but fine. It just makes me worse against an Edict. I'm gonna go ahead and block. That's not what I'm looking for. Okay, let's start here. 3 Enchantress's Presence. This does give me life. Okay, beautiful. This is literally exactly what I'm looking for. Let's enchant this land. Pay 1. Put these triggers on the stack and always yield to them. Exile the dinosaur, and life is good now. I get 2 cards per attack. My opponent has discarded a bunch of cards, and good cards at that, to their Rotting Regisaur. Yeah, I can take 2. I am literally going to gain more than that with Sythis each turn cycle. We're good. Borg into no play. Let's just keep the train rolling here. Maybe tap like this. My tapping is now kind of a pain in the ass because of Urborg. That's okay though. Wild Growth goes here. And we'll draw 3 more cards. Yep. Life's good. We'll win eventually. I'm going to chain a whole bunch of stuff together here. I'm white with that. I've already played my land, right? I've already played my land, so I have 2 more mana to work with this turn. I guess that can just be a Living Wish. Use this ability, yes. Let's just grab Solitude. Then I can't accidentally just lose to combo. I can crash in for 1. Seems safe enough. Discard a Windswept Heath and 1 Living Wish, I guess. Alright, my opponent has conceded the game. Alright, I know about Rotting Regisaurs now, but I don't think that changes anything about my sideboard plans. My hand looks safe and stable. I will be keeping it. Anything can happen with Dark Ritual, though. JK, opponent did not have Dark Ritual. I guess Dark Ritual Opposition Agent could technically be a thing. In my opponent's upkeep, I'm going to fetch a Plains. Fair. I did have it. I'm pretty sure that if you have it versus this deck, you are just supposed to play it out at sorcery speed. Like, there's a very good chance that I just get stuck on fetch lands. Alright, I drew a new land, though. No big deal. Alright, Castle Lockdwain from the opponent. Into a tapped activated Mishra's Factory. Yeah, alright. I'll take 3. Alright. Then go land Enchantress. Alright, Urborg, which is nice. That turns my Windswept Heath into something that produces mana. Alright, I lost Enchantress's presence. No big deal. Liliana the Veil is a pretty big deal, though. And I'll take 3. Now, luckily, my opponent played Urborg, so that I can actually... Well, I guess I can't Green Sun Opposition Agent. Okay, yeah, I guess I'm kind of stuck here. Alright, Wasteland from the opponent. I need to turn off auto yields now, so I don't get my Windswept Heath wastelanded. Gothy Voidwalkers, sure. Actually, I guess this, like, I actively don't want to fetch because of Opposition Agent. That's kind of annoying. I'm going to lose to my opponent, and they are not playing well. Like, I think an attack for 2 is much more valuable than drawing 1 card off Castle Lockdwain here. Like, end the game. You are ahead. Get in there. My opponent's missed 4 points of damage so far this game. And, like, I'm going to go to 10 here. My opponent does not have lethal showing next turn. Because they drew a card with Castle Lockdwain. Or because they missed damage the previous turn. It's a little frustrating. Alright, on Thin Ice as a draw isn't going to do it. I'm not going to die next turn, but I'm going to effectively lose the game. I'm going to go ahead and concede here. That's a disappointing loss, but we'll be back in it next round. Round 2, I have no Enchantress effects in this hand. I'm not really interested in keeping this one. This one is fine. I'll be keeping it. I think I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the cast out here. It's expensive and doesn't kind of fit into the initial plan, but there's other ways to play that first turn. Artifact land. Alright. Well, here we go. We'll start with Wild Growth, and I will very potentially go ham. Now, opponent is also playing a bunch of things that draw cards in their decks, so we'll see. This should be a much pleasantly faster round than the last one way or another. Oh shit. Alright. This is not as big of a deal as it looks like, because all my 1-drops still cantrip at least once, and they might cantrip more than that later. I also do have a couple of outs to a Chalice in the deck. Access to Collector Oof is going to be great. Ensnaring Bridge, yeah. Ooh, this is not going to be just an aggro deck. This is like a Tezzerator style list. Alright, well, let's cycle some cards. And Abundant Growth. Hey, that's a card I can cycle. Go Gadget Abundant Growth. Living Wish. Ho 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 ho. Well, Living Wish is going to be real hot. Do I show Serra's Sanctum this turn? I don't think so. It makes 2 mana. I won't have the green mana to do what I want. I'm just going to go ahead and fetch a plains here. I don't need to fetch a plains if I have Serra Sanctum. I'll grab a forest. Keep the mana stable. Living Wish. Oh, Lecter. Oof. Pass turn. Your move, Tez. Tez was in the name. I should have guessed Tezzerator. What was I thinking? I mean, it's not like I'm not going to just cast this Collector. Oof. I mean, show me what you got. Force of Will, pitching Tezzeret the Seeker. Sure. I gotta tap this now. We'll go Sanctum Weaver. And just drew a land. Fine. We'll cycle this. And do a Destiny Spinner. Okay, that's a way to win the game. Sanctum Weaver and Destiny Spinner and Serra Sanctum are all a little bit less powerful than normal here, but like, since there is a Chalice in play, but I don't actually think it's that big of a deal. Draw off your bauble. See if I care. Prismatic Vista. Okay, I guess let's go ahead and grab this now. We'll go ahead and play a Destiny Spinner. Destiny Spinner draws Abundant Growth. Do I want to keep drawing, or do I want to just hit? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Green's kind of a limiting factor, huh? Green's kind of a limiting factor. I guess... Oh wait, no. Green's not really a limiting factor. I have the Sanctum Weaver. The Sanctum Weaver can make green. Alright, so like, let's tap both of those. Let's... Oh shit. Forgot about Ensnaring Bridge since I didn't care about it a minute ago. Back off that Destiny Spinner plan for just a second. And Abundant Growth. New Enchantress's Presence. Oh, right. Destiny Spinner does that thing. Okay, that's disgusting. I was so focused on the side of the equation that was going to kill my opponent that I didn't focus on the side that made my shit uncounterable. Yeah, things are going to be okay. Alright. Cycle this Abundant Growth. Oh my gosh, the triggers. So many triggers. I need to auto-yield to Sythis. Cast Out. Well, Cast Out is ridiculously good. Yeah, I think I might end up just killing my opponent this turn or very close to it. Let's Utopia Sprawl here. Hello, Chalice. Nice to see you. Conclave Tribunal's very good. Name white with that. Conclave Tribunal now? Probably Conclave Tribunal now. Alright, so tap this, and then we'll pay some white here. Yeah, this got stupid real quick. Okay, it does resolve. I'll exile that Ensnaring Bridge. Now, how much mana do I actually have? Not enough to crash in currently. Played a land, I have played a land. I guess let's just, like, get Solitary Confinement going then. Kill at my convenience later. Just a good layer of protection. Alright, Solitary Confinement's in. We'll, get a little bit more mana and then, kill handily next turn. I have so many cards. I'm gonna have to click on a bunch of things and discard them. Alright, non-basic lands, get out. Windswept Heath, get out. Vista, Heath, get out. Land, get out. Land, get out. One Green Sun, get out. One of these, get out. I could probably spend some time thinking about that a little bit more, but something approximating that is fine. An Urza. Sure. You have an Urza. I believe I can just Living Wish Emrakul. I haven't mathed that out, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I can very easily just Living Wish Emrakul here. Alright. Cast Living Wish. Fine. Fine. We'll kill you a different way. Alright, I think I can just animate multiple Destiny Spinners and kill my opponent that way. They trample. I guess I can on Thin Ice first. since it just like ends up being the same in terms of mana. Alright, opponent is done with me. What do we have for Tezzerator? I probably board in one Collector Oof. The Carpet of Flowers will come out. I'll board in the Night of Autumn. I'll still leave Oof in the sideboard to wish for. I kind of like another Destiny Spinner in, I think. I think I go down on Thin Ice here. I'm not going to need that many answers to creatures. Like, my opponent's probably playing Urza as their big creature. If they're playing Urza Saga, though, on Thin Ice definitely has more value. I guess it would make sense that they're playing that. Let's try swap, like, do 3/3 of on Thin Ice on non-abundant growth. It hedges a little bit better in case I'm wrong. Okay, so this is a hand that has a Collector Oof, but not a second land. This does not represent Dryad Arbor. I believe I am supposed to mulligan this. This is fine. It's better than it looks. I think I'm going to throw back one forest. Alright, tapped artifact land. Okay. I will just Utopia Sprawl my land and call it a turn. This probably just gets green this early on. I have access to white off Windswept Heath anyway. Vault into Chalice on one. Oh, wouldn't you know it, I drew Destiny Spinner. That is mighty convenient. I will cast Green Sun for X equals 2. Do you have a counterspell? Oh, you do not have a counterspell. Oh, you're gonna have a bad time. There's Collector Roof. Your artifacts are off. Your first 2 land drops have been sinkholed. Okay, this is the one that's any color of mana if you control an artifact. Yes. Oh, cool. Alright, land. And attack in. I'll put the opponent to 18. And now I just need to get my engine going. So let's cast a Green Sun for 2. And pick up an Argothian Enchantress. Now between Destiny Spinner, Argothian Enchantress, and Oof, I should have this pretty much locked up. Now, Wasteland's not doing a lot here. Green Sun's fine. Let's start here, though. This gives me a redraw. And it's an abundant growth. That's totally legit. Okay, I think I'm going to take this opportunity to fetch. I get the basic plains. And nope. Wrong way. I'm going to tap Forest and Abundant Growth to the plains. Sorry, Chalice. I have betrayed you. Alright, now this can now represent green mana as well. Land, and I'll probably just crash in for 2 here and call that a turn. I don't think I want to just cycle one of my cards here. Opponent's at 16. And I am going to accelerate very rapidly. Okay, that was a much faster match, and we just got to do our thing. Okay, I've kept my opening hand, which has a turn 2 Enchantress's Presence, and then we've got a redraw beyond that. Given that I have multiple fetch lands here, and cards like Stifle exist in the format, I think I'm just going to go ahead and take this opportunity to fetch out another basic land so that I can't walk into a Stifle next turn. Early on, I'm just going to take green off these. Alright, flagstones, that probably means death and taxes. Let's see, for Living Wish, we have a Doomwake Giant in the board. We have a Collector Oof in the board. I think I just want to floop the Enchantress's Presence into play this turn. I also do have a Caracas in the board, right? For Thalia-based reasons, if that's something that I end up caring about. Alright. Let's always yield to this sucker. I'm not going to have too many things that I can do on my opponent's turn, given my predominantly sorcery speed deck. Okay, that's a Thalia. Thalia plus port is a little annoying. Alright, a new Abundant Growth is my draw. So I have to decide how I want to play out this Living Wish. It is going to be hard to cast a Doomwake Giant through both Port and Thalia. If I get the Collector Roof, I give my opponent a Swords to Plowshares target for shutting off either vial. Caracas is okay. It gets worse against Wasteland. So, like, I could 3-mana Living Wish, get Caracas, bounce Thalia, land Abundant Growth, take a redraw. Honestly, it might be better for me to just take a few redraws and work towards building up my own board. Like, removing the Thalia one way or another is a little awkward. I can't easily permanently remove it right now. I could work towards something like grabbing Solitude in a bit. I could also get Sarah's Sanctum, but I think this turn's hard to play. Let's see if we can draw into some stuff that gives us a little more guidance. And new Enchantress's Presence. Carpet of Flowers. It's a redraw. Alright, Forest. New Abundant Growth. I was really hoping for Ramp. Like, that's really what I wanted. That's Ramp. And it's something that doesn't get taxed by Thalia. No, that's also very good. Alright. Opponent will be in a favorable position for a little while. Spirit of the Labyrinth is one of the things that could be pretty annoying. Take 2 down to 17 here. Why am I not getting ported? You are supposed to port me in the upkeep. But okay. Alright. On Thin Ice is totally fine here. I think that's going to end up being my play. I'm just trying to... yeah, there's some... enchant this. There's some lines where I want to play a different land other than Windswept Heath after removing Thalia. Okay, it resolves. Goodbye, Thalia. This is a great example of those situations. Then I'll go land and play Carpet of Flowers. Getting a new Living Wish. That's fine. And we are just going to always no to Carpet of Flowers. That is not going to do anything this game. Sure. Stoneforge for Batterskull. Not Kaldra. Not Kaldra is good. Alright, what you got? Skyclave, getting rid of Enchantress's Presence? Sure. I've got redundancy. Now, are you going to port me? You are not going to port me. I said always no to you. Oh, I also have to always yield. Sure, that's on me. Okay. So, where to start? I'd probably just start with Enchantress's Presence. Let's do that. Maybe tap this one. Alright. Now, let's build up my mana. I don't think I want a Solitary Confinement this turn. Gonna leave myself the option to. Let's leave myself the option to. Alright. I could just, like, Living Wish or Sarah's Sanctum, and then Sarah's Sanctum's Solitary Confinement. I'd kind of prefer to get something else in play. I have 2 Living Wishes. I can just, like, Living Wish for Sarah's Sanctum this turn and then go for Emrakul next turn, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I can probably just do that. So, Living Wish. Yes. Sarah's Sanctum. I don't want to play that this turn. I'll just play a Plains. All that good. And then at my end step, my opponent will put in a Batterskull. So I've got multiple paths to victory here. I've got Living Wish, Emrakul. I also just have Solitary Confinement, Soft Lock. Alright, what do you got? Sure, Recruiter. Are you supposed to use your Vial for that? Spirit of the Labyrinth. That seems a little late to the party. Alright, I go to 10. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so I will not go for the Emrakul directly this turn. I could just Living Wish for Doomwake Giant and start going to town that way. That's probably a fine turn, rather than going for the Emrakul here. Let's do that. I'll use Living Wish's ability. Yes. Doomwake Giant. I think I go ahead and play this Serra's Sanctum now. So, make a bunch of white. Make a black with this. I don't get to draw a card off this first one. But every other one will be fine. Okay, yep. Good stuff. I mean, the world was kind of my oyster there. Alright, Carpet of Flowers, you are not looking impressive this league. Sadly, but it is what it is. What's coming in for you? Could be an oof. Could be an endurance. Could be a knight. I want to be able to wish for these. So one of these 3 cards comes in for carpet. Sythis is a little weaker than normal here due to the presence of Karakas. I also might consider trimming that. I also can consider just boarding in my own Karakas, just as an additional mana source. I think I like shutting down Vial. I think I like trimming 1 Sythis. Honestly, kind of just want to have access to a 3/4 that can just sit there and gum up the board. Knight of Autumn. Do I want you? I'm not sure. Like, Collector Oof and Knight of Autumn are different effects, and wishing for Knight of Autumn, for example, kills the Spirit of the Labyrinth. Maybe I go down 1 Abundant Growth and just give myself access to yet another body. It's also possible that on the draw, I should just trim the other copy of Sythis as well. This opening hand has 1 land. That's not going to cut it in this matchup. This is a very good 1-land hand. It has an acceleration and a removal spell for an early Thalia. What do I miss on a land in 2 draws? It's pretty bad for me. I think I'm going to keep this on 6. If worse comes to worse, I Living Wish for a land. I'm going to keep this and junk 1 Living Wish. Keeping the Knight of Autumn gives me the possibility of just removing a turn 1 Ether Vial. Hello. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Alright, so we fetch Forest here. And this is going to name white, given the texture of the hand. Then I can have 2 basic forests and still have access to my stuff. Rashadenport is the scariest card my opponent could have. Yeah, Thalia does not do a ton here. I get to just remove this Ether Vial. Oh, nice. On Thin Ice as well. I think it's important to just remove the Vial right now. Because if we keep my opponent from putting all their stuff into play for free, they will just tap their mana at some point, and I'll be able to answer the Thalia with On Thin Ice. Unless this exact sequence happens. That's okay. I'm going to take 2 from this Thalia. An Aethersworn Canonist. Okay, board's pretty hateful. The presence of the Wasteland is a little rough here. I can't just like Living Wish for Serra's Sanctum and go to town. So I guess I'm just going to go ahead and put an Enchantress effect into play. And then pass the turn. I'm hoping my opponent just attacks with Aethersworn Canonist, and then I can do some disgusting things with On Thin Ice if they, like, let me block and do the whole protect thing. Oh, it's happening. I mean, snap block. Absolutely snap block. Yep. Yeah, this line opens me up to be able to do my shit. I hope they have a follow-up that makes this attack make sense. Nope. Okay. So. Oh wait, I probably want to enchant this land, actually. Alright, so on Thin Ice, draw a card. Drawing a land would be swell. Oh my god. Okay, so because we hit like that, this first one can go after Aethersworn Canonist. so that I can continue casting spells this turn. Alright, now I get to Sarah's Sanctum. That makes a couple of mana. Actually, no, Abundant Growth doesn't net mana. Alright, so on Thin Ice, I guess now let's enchant this land, so my opponent doesn't get both their creatures back if they link something with a Flicker Wisp. That's a Destiny Spinner. So the question here is, do I just take out the Mother of Runes? Or do I take out Thalia? Or try to take out Thalia and make them bounce it with Karakas? I think I just take out Mother of Runes. Alright, now I can't play another spell this turn. I'll just be passing. I think my opponent threw away a whole lot of percentage points. Alright, new Wasteland. That means I can't cast any of the white spells that I'm actually scared of, such as Flicker Wisp or Sanctum Prelate. Good news for me. Alright, goodbye, Sarah's Sanctum. That's not too surprising. Oh, and just no follow-up plays. That is not good for them. Conclave Tribunal. Not super necessary right now. Living Wish could work towards a Doomwake Giant. I could also just like play Destiny Spinner and use that to try, like, draw that, try to hit a land drop. It's something that walls Thalia. I think I'm gonna do that. What do we draw? Land. Perfect. Alright, so we will go land into Abundant Growth. This land. That'll draw 2. Alright. I now have a couple of things that can just like wall the ground and buy me time. And if I get time, I am just going to win. Oh, Swords to Plowshares. Sure. That's fine. Alright, opponent has another white mana. Not actually all that big of a deal. Now I can get Flicker Wisped here, and that becomes kind of a big deal. I'm not worried about most of the actual Hate Bears. This puts me to 12. And then, okay, the Flicker Wisp is very good. Alright, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to beat that. Lol, JK. Order of operations. Do I start with Solitary Confinement now? I can take a pretty big hit and be totally fine. Like, I can take this hit for 7. Sword of Fire and Ice or something like that can't kill me. I think I just want to put an Enchantress's Presence into play and then go for Solitary Confinement next turn. That just makes it so that I am very, very, very unlikely to ever fizzle. Alright, and I'll pass the turn. A second Flicker Wisp on my Utopia Sprawl will beat me for doing this line, though. This sets me up so well for the long game. Alright, Plains. Into me taking 7, going to 5. And what's your follow-up? Sanctum Prelate. On 3. Okay. That's pretty good. That shuts off Solitary Confinement. So now I just need to gum up the board and not die, and then I can use Endurance to do disgusting things on my opponent's turn. So I think that means... Actually, can I Conclave Tribunal? So if I tap Argothian Enchantress, it costs 5 total mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I have 1 mana remaining. Okay, so that's not really going to work. Yeah, I can... Assuming no Swords to Plowshares type effect, I can just go to 1 in this turn cycle and completely blow my opponent out as well. Already drawn my 1 Sarah's Sanctum, so I'm safe to just play this land drop. Alright, Wild Growth. Alright, and I'll pass the turn. I have set my opponent up for just the most savage possible blowout with Endurance. This is gross. Alright, here it comes. Will they go for it? Or will they just attack with Flicker Wisp? They are going for it. Cast. Green. Green. Here comes Endurance. Do I want my Sarah Sanctum and On Thin Ice and Knight of Autumn back into the deck? Not really, but I'm fine with giving you a Swords to Plowshares. Let's put those back in there. Alright, so I am at 5, so I can only take 4 damage this turn, which means I do have to block Flicker Wisp, so we'll block Flicker Wisp and Destiny Spinner, or sorry, and Sanctum Prelate here. And I will go to 1. That feels real good. Okay, Recruiter, sure. Getting a Skyclave Apparition. That's not bad. So I need to have 4 creatures in play in order to survive my opponent just Skyclaving a creature and crashing in. Actually, how does just casting Solitary Confinement work out? I almost wish I had a second Endurance. Be real good here. Okay, so I could tap 4 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it'd have to be like 5 for Conclave Tribunal. I just need to get a second Destiny Spinner here and clog the board. Then I'll have 4 creatures in play. My opponent can attack with 3 after Skyclaving 1. And then I just try to hold this for another turn cycle. Alternatively, if I Conclave Tribunal for my mana and get rid of Canonist, there's only 2 attackers. The opponent can get rid of one of these. I can chump block with one of these. That ends up probably putting me in a better spot. Let's go with that. And I cannot afford to Convoke. I need the blockers. Alright, let's get a couple of cards off of this. Cast Out and Utopia Sprawl. Let's get rid of the Aethersworn Canonist. Alright. I can put a Windswept Heath into play because I can eventually Wild Growth it. However, if I tap that and fetch, I will die. Ooh, this one's going to be tight. Alright, that's a land from the opponent. Alright, here they go. Alright, it is the Skyclave. We'll see. There's a lot of ways they can play this Skyclave. Yeah, I like that way. Just put a 4th body into play. Now, my Solitary Confinement does make things pretty good for me in terms of like actually just staying alive. Alright. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. Solitary Confinement, draw 2 cards. And On Thin Ice is great. Very happy to have that. Now my opponent has used their Skyclave. There are more in the deck. That's my 1 spell for this turn. But my opponent will need Skyclave or Flicker Wisp or some sort of Disenchant, Leonin Relic Warder type card. 1 mana away from just using Cast Out. Sure. Mom is not a real concern. This Doomwake Giant is the long-term plan. I think you're going. Okay. View sideboard. I think it's time to just get Doomwake Giant and try to clear the entire board next turn. What about Cast Out, though? So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That leaves me with 1 available mana. I can actually Cast Out, but then I can't On Thin Ice. Let's just 2-step this. Living Wish, yes. Doomwake Giant, and pass the turn. Because if I play Doomwake Giant next turn, I remove 3 bodies from the board, which means that a Flicker Wisp effect doesn't beat me anymore. Alright. Rishadan Port's not bad. That'll slow me down. That taps the Utopia Sprawl. Sure, or that. I think I'm going to get rid of On Thin Ice. That's just, like, not the way that I intend on casting my stuff. Alright, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have the correct amount of mana, just wrong colors. So, that means I should just go ahead and Utopia Sprawl here. And name black. Okay. I'll hold the Savannah in hand so it does not get wastelanded. And pass the turn. Alright, so this is presumably the last turn where I'll have to dodge. Okay, that's just a land from the opponent. Okay. So now one of these gets ported. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am safe to go ahead and just discard Savannah. Actually, I can just discard it, Argothian Enchantress. I have 2 of those effects in play already. That's totally fine. Alright, so let's go ahead and play Doom Wake Giant. Draw a couple cards. Wipe a good portion of the board. Canonist is still in play. I'm just going to discard Savannah next turn, I think. Actually, I might play this and just discard Collector Roof. Collector Roof is not doing much at this stage of the game. Now I have, like, creatures of multiple different colors available. Sure. Stoneforge Mystic is not really threatening here. Because I am going to die if my opponent gets through my lock anyway. Sure. Still comfortable discarding Collector Roof. Alright, now let's do Enchantress shit. Alright, so let's cast this. Draw a couple cards. Cast out. I'm going to get rid of Aethersworn Canonist. I'll wipe the rest of the board with assorted crap here. Actually, let's start by tapping Savannah. Okay, alright, my opponent is now done with me. That's totally fair. That was a slog. I'm very happy with how I played that as a whole. I'm sure I made some micro mistakes, you know, you always do in a game of Magic. But I think my opponent, like, very easily threw that game away with that one attack on, like, turn, like, 4 or something like that, where they just attacked in with some creature that they had to use the Mom protection for, and that just opened me up to win the entire game. I had no business being in that game. Hello, Phil from the future here. I recommend skipping this round. My opponent times out while I have 21 minutes remaining on my clock. Okay, next round. I played against this player earlier in this league, yesterday. They were playing that mono black thing. My hand does not have any sort of Enchantress effect. I'm going to be mulliganing this. Oh, God. My opponent's deck has Wasteland. This hand is potentially quite good, as long as I don't get Wastelanded on turn 1. I might just lose the game for keeping this hand, though. They also could be playing a different deck. Like, it's most certainly... Well, not most certainly. It's likely a different league for them. This is probably better than the average 5. I'm going to keep this and bin the On Thin Ice. There is a reason why there is exactly one Savannah in the deck, and it's this sort of opener. You never want to have to do this sort of opener. I'm now also remembering that this player was quite slow. Buckle up. Well, I guess the video editing does a lot of that for you. It was a little painful on my end yesterday. Thoughtseize. Goodbye, Sythis. As expected. Lucky. Oh, hold on. I need to tap that for white in order to do this. Alright. And the hope here now is that I draw a basic land and I can just kind of Utopia Sprawl, like draw through my deck and work towards a victory. Wasteland is still just devastating. My opponent draws one. Hey, my fetch is tap for black. And Doomwake is easier to cast. Dark Ritual into Lily of the Veil is very good. Situation is bad. I think the way I get out of this is by double playing Utopia Sprawl. But I am all in on something that I do not want to be all in on. Okay, I'm going to lose both my cards here. 1 to Lily plus 1 to Inquisition. Yep. I'm not willing to concede because my opponent played really badly yesterday. And I can't expect them to take lines that are reasonable. Like, they've made some very bad plays yesterday that threw away a bunch of stuff. And I can just, like, rip an Enchantress's Presence, get that on the board, draw a bunch of cards, and be totally fine. They discarded a Karn. Okay, there we go. Okay. Guess I will fetch in response. I want to have a starting green mana in case I get wastelanded. Board state's actually pretty close now that I have Enchantress's presence in play. Factory. So, in my opinion, this is a very easy time to just blast zone and take away 3 of my mana. But we're not going to do that. Alright, that's a Lily plus. And the Karn has not been activated. Okay, now Karn's tutoring. Getting a liquid metal coating. It'll be hard to beat. Let's see if I can find a Oblivion Ring effect this turn. Yep. Did it. Always yield to this. Get rid of Karn. Pass the turn. Imagine if my opponent had played Karn this turn, and last turn they had Blast Zoned and destroyed 3 of my mana sources, so I never could have played my outs to their Planeswalkers. Okay, there is the Blast Zone. I think a turn later than it needed to be. I'm going to take 3 down to 13. Lily pluses. Okay. Well, let's try to chain some draws together. That's not doing it. Just name's green. That's a black source. I need to have a big turn next turn. Preferably finding another Oblivion Ring effect to get rid of Liliana. The opposition agent is whatever. Yup, discard. And they are not going to try to kill me. Get me dead. Drawing cards is not more valuable than killing your opponent. This is a very important life lesson. Like, you've discarded 3 or 4 cards to your own Liliana so far. Like, the cards don't matter. Get me dead. I probably play this. It's a probably situation, though. I just have no ability to read my opponent's play pattern, so I don't know if they're going to plus their Lily or just immediately minus. There's a Castle Locktwain activation. Okay. Really? The Karn is that valuable to you? Really? I will sacrifice 1 card for your Planeswalker that's been in play for a billion turns. That is absolutely batshit crazy to me. Like, you just have Dark Ritual and you Liquid Metal Coating this turn, and that explains that? Or not Liquid Metal Coating, Mycosense Lattice? Crucible of Worlds. I don't understand. I just do not understand. Sure. Okay, I'll take 3 going to 7. Now my opponent can't have lethal by plussing on Crucible of Worlds next turn. My opponent is going to like timeout in game 1. This is ridiculous. If you're curious about why I am editing out the dead space in videos, it is because of games like this. Oh my gosh, I get a turn. No, I don't. We're now hanging out in my upkeep instead. Ugh. Land. Pass. Normally I'd concede, but I'm just going to win via timeout in this match, so whatever. Yep, factory gets animated. They turn sideways. Please, please just hit any button and kill me. Okay, cool. Okay. Carpet of Flowers, underperforming this league. Just cannot get paired against blue decks. Well, I guess blue decks with Island. There was Tezzerator. I'm probably not going to adjust much for this matchup. Like, I will probably just board in a Destiny Spinner or an Endurance and just kind of help fill my deck with creatures so that I have a few more things to just pressure Liliana or Karn. Make it a Destiny Spinner. Yes, yes, I would like to play first. This hand is fine. Okay, opponent's connection is bad, or they're trying to play while working, or both. This was a miserable experience for me, and I'll be putting a disclaimer before this round recommending that people skip this round. We'll take our W. We earned it. Spent a lot of time eating and scrolling Reddit this round. Okay, and there's the official notification. Oh, we're 3-1 in this league now. Cool. I wish my hand had a little bit of mana acceleration, but I think I'm going to keep this hand. I'm on the draw, so I get another look at some abundant growth type stuff. Okay, abundant growth is a bad example. So I get another look at a, what is it? Wild growth type stuff. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Glad to actually be playing Magic again. That last round was just miserable for me. I ate breakfast while playing something I was recording, if that tells you anything. Alright. Well, let's slam one of these. Then we'll slam another one. If that doesn't work, I'll Green Sun. Tundra into Ice Fang Coatl? Sure. Oh, nice, it just resolves. That's very good against BANT. Alright. Another Forest. Into Uro. My opponent hasn't been, like, cantripping and stuff yet. So at least it's not going to be just, like, Turbo Uro. And even when they get around to Uro, I do have On Thin Ice for it. Life is not bad. I think the biggest question I have right now is, do I just jam another Enchantress's Presence, or do I try to play multiple smaller cards so that I can try to hit my land drops? JK, never mind. Question answered. Go Gadget Enchantress's Presence. And let's always yield to this. Alright, so now we'll go Forest and Abundant Growth it, which is going to draw me 3 cards, which is sick. Nice. Okay, I mean, we have a little bit too much land, but all my cards cantrip approximately 1 billion times. Alright. Alright, how's Uro levels of mana? What do you have going on? Engineered Explosives for 3 is pretty damn good. I mean, I respect that. That was not something that I was playing around this early in this game. Not that I would have really played around it anyway. I think I Green Sun. There's a consideration to Living Wish instead, but I think I like doing this. Let's just take the one that's hexproof. And I think I'm going to do this like this, and just kind of keep these in different places. Always yield to this Enchantress effect. There's Sanctum. Alright, let's Living Wish for something. I would like to use this ability. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, sorry. I guess I'll count Serra's Sanctum first. So I have 1, 2, 3 off Serra's Sanctum. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total mana. So I'm not quite to Emrakul levels of mana. I will probably get there. It might be a little crazy to go for Emrakul this early, but I think I'm going to. Like, I just think I am going to get to that level of mana as this game goes long. And if I get most of the other things, it just plays into a second Engineered Explosives pretty badly. And some of the BANT lists I've been seeing have either 2 or 3 of them in the 75. Alright, Brainstorm now. And do I presume a fetch? Yep. Grabbing Chop. And now I'm guessing we are at Uro mana. That is indeed correct. I've been running into an absolute shit ton of BANT online because it's something that beats Delver pretty hard, which is a rarity. Endurance is just so fucking good. A new Living Wish. Do I want a second Enchantress effect before I cast On Thin Ice? I think I do. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, that gets countered. That's fine. Because that means that I get to just do this. Do I want to hitch this to a new non-Serra Sanctum land? I don't expect my opponent to be able to blow up my basic lands. It's fine. Alright, so there's On Thin Ice. That exiles the Uro. Okay, my opponent is just fucking done with me. That's fair. The game's not over, but I can respect my opponent, respecting their own time there. Okay, generally speaking, my deck is built to fight these sorts of decks. I feel like Sanctum Weaver is probably a little weak here. I think I'm going to board that out. And what do I not need in the board? I think I want to have access to this in the board. Like, I need these two in the board. That probably means I can just board in a Destiny Spinner. Like, that's just a totally great card to naturally draw. Yeah, I think that's just my one card adjustment plan. This hand is a little mana heavy. I turn 1 Abundant Growth, get a redraw. Turn 2, either Destiny Spinner or Living Wish for Enchantress. Turn 3, get an Enchantress. This hand's not great, but the game is going to go long in all likelihood, and this is probably acceptable. Especially now with the Green Sun. I wish this one ramped, but can't have it all, right? I've got enough redraws here and enough gas now that I'm pretty comfortable with where I'm at. Prismatic Vista's not the best pickup, but Brainstorming. I don't know what my opponent is going to do in terms of Swords to Plowshares in this matchup. I don't know what it feels like from their side. Cast out. Decisive. This just needs to pick up another forest for right now. Alright. And I think I Destiny Spinner first. Like, this is a card that my opponent potentially has to deal with. It's a little bad if they just fetch basic and Swords to Plowshares here or something, but Drop. And it gets wilted. That's fine. I wonder if it was correct to do that at that speed, though. Okay. When do I want to play this Wild Growth? I think now. Let's Wild Growth that. So now this makes 2, and Sarah's Sanctum makes 2. So, do a little something like this, where I just use my mana efficiently and go Living Wish for Enchantress. And I'll cast that. And then I have a backup Enchantress in hand in the form of Green Sun, or if this doesn't work out. And it doesn't. What did Force of Will pitch? Ponder. A Counterbalance. That is about to get cast outed. Okay. If I play Sythis off of this, I have 1 mana floating, and then I can still cast out afterwards and get a look at what's on top of the library. Let's go white-green here, and Sythis. Alright, we are getting a Brainstorm in response. That's fine. So if opponent puts a 2 on top, then hopefully cast out resolves. Okay, it just reveals Brainstorm. Actually, I couldn't have cast out if... Oh, that's just straight up the concession? Okay, that's a speedy concession. Alright, that's a 4-1 in this league. With 1 loss and 1 timeout to the random mono black player. So evaluate that however you will. Okay, overall thoughts on the deck list. Feels good. The Carpet of Flowers in the main deck looked bad this time. I'm still fine with its existence. There's so much BANT and so much Blue-Red Delver online that I'm totally good with, like, occasionally just drawing something that will cantrip versus something like Death and Taxes to just have that additional power. Because as you can see, if I can just deploy my spells versus those decks, I win. And, like, it's kind of similar to Modern in that regard. So when I played the Modern Enchantress League, the games spiraled out of control if I got to start doing my thing, and the same is definitely true in Legacy. You know, once you have 2 Enchantress effects in play, like, you're going to find a way to win the game, even if things look pretty bad. I really felt like the Living Wish package was excellent in this league. Collector Oof hosed our, Affinity? No, Tezzerator opponent pretty hard. And even just grabbing something like Endurance to come up the board and buy you time is really strong. Spore Frog is maybe a bit much, but like there's going to be situations where that keeps you alive for a turn versus, a huge board from Blue Red Delver or a Merit Lodge or something. And I understand having it there. I really liked having 2 Collector Oofs. Like, the double Collector Oof meant that I could board one in while still having one in the board, and that gave me, effective access to so many copies of that effect, and it's really strong in Legacy right now. All right, that was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, click the like button. If you want to see more Legacy content, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you want to try this one out, the deck list is available in the video description, as is the donation information if you want to see one of your own brews. Have a great rest of the day. See you later, and keep playing Legacy. It's awesome right now.